Hi, everyone. Today, let's talk about how your pain could be unconsciously protecting you in some way. Let's get into it. Often I see that people's pain is unconsciously protecting them in some way. Now, when I say this, I know this is a controversial statement. I do not mean that you are faking pain to get out of something, or that there's some sort of secondary gain here. In my opinion, all pain is real, whether it's emotionally caused, physically caused, or a mixture of the two. All pain is very real. What I'm talking about is that unconsciously, sometimes our brain is doing the best it can to protect us. And by doing this, it produces pain sometimes. And remember, pain is a danger signal. It is sent by our brain as a warning. Now, sometimes this danger signal does mean physical damage, but sometimes it's emotional danger that our brain is warning us about. But I think it's taking it one step further that sometimes our pain is kind of put upon us as a way to protect us from kind of the scary world around us. Now, for myself, I know this was the case. When I think about when my pain came on, first off, I had just changed my major in school. I was about to propose to my wife. Life was speeding up really, really fast. And I wasn't aware of it, but I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear about moving forward in my life. I've always had a lot of big emotions, but these ones, I wasn't fully aware of. And then all of a sudden, my pain came on. And you can probably guess, this slowed my life down dramatically. Steps that I was going to take in life, career wise, relationship wise, got slowed. And in a way, first off, my pain was protecting me from feeling my big emotions underneath that I did not want to feel, that I did not dare want to dive into. And I wasn't even aware of them. I was so obsessed about there's something wrong with my body, doing every medical procedure possible, that I wasn't aware of the emotional danger that I was feeling underneath. But even more so, it just stopped me from growing up. It prevented me from facing my fears of kind of the big scary world around me. And now, it did it in the worst way possible. I was in agonizing pain. It was not enjoyable, but it kept me safe. It kept me inside, away from people, away from scary tasks that I need to do in life. And so, in that way, it really did protect me. Now, this wasn't conscious. I didn't think about it in this way, but it was this protective mechanism that was taking place. Now, the other thing it did, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is at the time when my pain came on, my perfectionism, the pressure I was putting on myself was so out of control. It was ramped up fully. I was waking up at like 4 a.m., going to school, doing classes, studying probably 12, 14 hours a day. I didn't need to do this. No other student was probably doing this, but it was just so out of control. And what the pain did is it slowed me down. I wasn't able to be perfectionistic in the same way, so high achieving. It just wasn't possible. I was in too much pain. And so it protected me from basically myself being driving myself off a ledge with placing so much pressure, being so self critical, and it slowed that naturally. Now, again, not in a great way. I was in agonizing pain, but there was this benefit that was taking place that, years later I can look back and be like, hey, this kind of makes sense. So it's kind of important to think about, is your pain unconsciously protecting you in some way? Because if this is the case, we need to address this. Now, for myself, the first step was acknowledging that my pain was protecting me in these ways, becoming aware of it. And it's just taking some insight into it, maybe doing some therapy around it, making these connections are really important. But then I needed to make a stance that I was going to protect myself, that I was going to do whatever I needed to do to help myself feel safe in my body and feel protected. Now, this didn't always feel good. First off, I needed to feel my emotions. I needed to feel the fear I had about life, the anxiety I had about moving forward in my life, the anger I had about, what the world expected of me or what I believed the world expected of me. I needed to feel all that and doing it in a safe way, of course. But I needed to feel that in my body, express it. I did a lot of journaling at the time. And then, I needed to slowly start to go out into the world, but in a way that wasn't placing such excessive expectations and pressures on myself. Even recently, I wrote a huge exam. It took me about 8 weeks to prepare, just a professional exam that I had to do. Now, the old me, I can promise you, would be a disaster by this point. I just wrote it recently because the old me would have self-sacrificed to such a degree that my mental health would have been so bad and I would have been in so much pain because I just would have kept pushing and pushing. This time, I even made the conscious decision 8 weeks back when I decided to write this exam. I was like, I'm going to give it 60, 70%. Pass or fail, it doesn't matter. The most important thing for me to do is protect the primitive and emotional parts of my brain and nervous system. And that was the commitment I made. Now, I did pass, luckily, which is a good thing. But even if I hadn't, the most important thing is to help myself feel emotionally safe. So it's, starting to make those steps. Reducing perfectionism was a huge piece. These are commitments that, sometimes I fall short on, but I want to move forward with because it's important that I protect myself so that my brain and nervous system doesn't feel the need to protect me by producing pain. Now, I was thinking about like a journal prompt that I remember doing like way back when I was recovering. And it's a pretty simplistic one. What you do is the journal prompt is really about, writing down all the ways your pain might be protecting you in some way, acknowledging them, and actually getting to a place of like thanking it for trying to do its best to protect you. And I like this compassionate way of viewing it because a lot of times we can be very critical of our pain. And I get it. I remember being there, but it doesn't help. It just causes our brain to feel more and more in danger. So actually getting to a place, if you can, of thanking it for trying to protect you, and then writing down in kind of your journal entry the different ways that you're going to protect yourself moving forward. Whether it's feeling your emotions, whether it's changing your life in some way, whether it's, starting to focus on your emotional issues, processing your emotions, but writing this all out. I remember it was really impactful when I did it. And sometimes I still go back to it, reminding myself of this journal prompt and how useful it can be. So I hope this was I can't talk anymore. Sorry, I hope this video was helpful. Please put your questions or comments down below. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel as I'm going to release videos every week talking about neuroplastic pain and mind-body concerns. Take care.